Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video, and apparently Star Wars is going to have its opening crawl return. And that is pretty interesting. Because I always thought that it was like the opening crawl was still like the main Star Wars movie. So the prequels, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. Because like Solo, Rogue One, and yes, I'm going to mention it, the holiday special that nobody ever really talks about. Those three movies, those spin-off movies, never had the opening crawls. But the prequels, originals, and the sequels all had opening crawls. So it's very, very interesting that we're talking about the opening crawls are returning. Is it going to be for like the Rey movie? Is it going to be for the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie? Who knows? Let's read. Star Wars: The Return of the Opening Crawl. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy revealed that the opening crawl is returning to the Star Wars theatrical films. The crawl is coming back, she said, when asked if the Rey-led movie would feature it. They then asked if the opening film we could expect a crawl for. She said no, the crawl is for the movies, expanding on the Rey film announcement. Kennedy offered this. As we move into the future, this space is about 15 years outside of Rise of Skywalker. Obviously, we realize post-war, post-First Order, Rise of the New Jedi Order. We left Episode 9 with Rey making the commitment to Luke Skywalker that she would rebuild the Jedi Order. So that here we are. And so here we are. And we're ready to do that. And it took a lot of discussion because obviously we've been developing stories in different spaces. And television has been a big focus of our attention right now. But there's still so much interest in what happens after the Rise of Skywalker. So we're excited to be doing that. She then hints at the possibility of more sequel-era characters appearing in the Rey film. She also says Dave Filoni's Mandoverse culminating film is more than a crossover of these shows, and questions whether the galaxy wants the Jedi back. So, here's my stance on it. I don't exactly mind the opening crawl, coming back. As I said before, I've been wanting Lucasfilm to, like, focus more on their the characters that they made and the sequel era timeline more than like focusing on the prequel and original trilogies and the what's happening in between those two trilogies and the original trilogy and the sequels, like in between that era too, because I want to because you guys know I've been critical about the sequel trilogy. That is no secret. I've been critical of the sequel trilogy. The Force Awakens was the best of the sequel trilogy, but like Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi made it in for me. So like, I do want Lucasfilm to try to give people like me, who has been extremely critical, and I did say keyword is try, to give people like me who's been critical of the sequel trilogy era, to try to give us more give us reasons to love the sequel, like that era. Like, besides, like, for me, like, I like hearing things here and there of the sequel trilogy, like Rey touching the lightsaber in The Force Awakens, seeing Lando like essentially motivate Poe in Rise of Skywalker about we weren't ready. I like that. I immediately liked that speech. I thought that was a pretty awesome speech, pretty cool move to have Lando getting post hopes up. Lando, like Luke, goes to Luke, telling to Rey, this was kind of like a middle finger to the Last Jedi too, that pretty much a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. Besides, like, swoon. So I like that part. So like, but as a whole, the sequel trilogy was a hot mess for me, and I do want like reasons to like really enjoy the sequel trilogy era, like how I can really enjoy the prequels. Now, I'm not saying this original trilogy because that was like the best trilogy era, but like the prequels when they came out, they had a lot of backlash, and they had like the Clone Wars. You can take either the micro series or the series that has 7 seasons, whichever was your pick, that helped make the prequels more enjoyable, help flesh out characters like Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, a tad bit of Jar Jar, Palpatine, and just like improved upon those characters. And essentially like the story of the prequels. And it also like helped comfort some critics of the prequels to being prequel fans. So I would say that even though I said a few things I did like about the sequels, overall I'm not a huge fan of the sequels, and I want to be. That's the thing. I want to be a fan of the sequel trilogy timeline, even if I'm not like a huge fan of the movies. I want to be a fan of that era too, because I've been a Star Wars fan since I was 11. I really want to love that timeline, but right now it's like in for me. It's in for me. So, going back to like what this article, like this video is about, would I be up for like see a sequel trilogy? Like, I mean, the Crawls to return. Oh yeah, I'd love to see the Crawls to return. The Crawl is like practically a character in itself, and if it's 15 years if the Rey movie is 15 years after the events of the sequels, then I can kind of see where the Crawl would be justified. And same can be said about like the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie. Like, it could help like serve as like a recap for people like me who've seen the like Mandalorian, Book of Boba, but also can be like a way to like introduce people to, okay, this is what happened in these 2 Disney Plus shows that I have not watched. Kind of bring people up to speed as well. So I can actually see the value of bringing those opening scroll back. So Crawl back. So what do you guys think? Are you up for seeing the return of the opening Crawl? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. I will catch you fellow musicians later. And may the force be with us all.